Securities offered through TJ Stearns, a registered representative of Crown Capital Securities LP, member FINRA SIPC. Content is intended to provide accurate information, however, is not intended as financial, tax, or legal advice. Please consult a financial, legal, or tax professional for specific information regarding your individual situation. Opinions expressed and provided are for general informational purposes only and should not be considered a solicitation for the purchase or sale of any security.
Welcome to Protect and Grow with ChicagoLand certified financial planner Tim Stearns of TJ Stearns Incorporated. Trust, respect, and results. TJ Stearns Incorporated focuses on comprehensive financial planning and benefits.
And welcome into the program. This is Protect and Grow ChicagoLand Retirement with ChicagoLand's certified financial planner, CFP, president, founder of TJ Stearns Inc. He is Tim Stearns, our resource for the information and a common sense approach that we need right now for planning for our financial future. Tim, welcome back to the program.
Peter, thanks again for having me.
Always a pleasure. We appreciate the time that you dedicate to educating Chicagoland area savers and investors here on the program each and every week. And Tim, always come along prepared with a theme for the program. Today's theme, spring cleaning, something that we've done a lot of around the house. We've had a little extra time on our hands.
Yeah. I mean, you've had plenty of time around the house to, knock out projects and binge watch everything that there is to see on Netflix. You probably got ambitious at some point and knocked out a few extra home improvement projects or organized the garage and closets. But what I want to ask people out there is, how much time did you spend on, tidying up your financial life? Now would be a great time to do some financial spring cleaning.
Yeah, absolutely. And Tim, do you think people focus enough time on this? I mean, spring cleaning, it's kind of a once a year type of thing. We take the rugs out and knock the dust off those and get all the cobwebs down from the corner, maybe organize the garage and try to consolidate and pull the trash out that we're not using, things that we haven't seen for the last year. But financially, is it more than once a year, or at least once a year we should be doing similar kinds of things? What do you think?
My gosh, yes, at least once a year. It's one thing to log into your 401k and stare at it, but what are you doing for your financial planning? I think a lot of people, I can think of different clients that we have that just, they log in and they think that they've done the right job, but we make sure we get them in here, kind of go over why the rhyme and reason as to what we're doing. And I think that's really helped them a lot. I've noticed that the students we've had in our classes, I've spent a lot more time with them, and it seems like they get it. And then they're like preaching the converted. It's really cool. Yeah. They'll tell somebody and they'll tell somebody that whole thing, and it's been outstanding.
Well, you say students, I'm not picturing high schoolers or college students here. Your adult education courses are for those who have worked an entire career, have built up a life savings, and are looking to figure out what it takes, what they need to be doing in order to transition that lifetime savings and that life work investment into what they're going to need for retirement, correct?
Yeah. And it's funny. I was talking to a guy this past weekend, and he was talking about how, he feels like he's winging it, and he can't do that. He needs to have a written plan. And that's, one of the reasons that I want to say, if you call the show today, we will help you analyze your complete portfolio to see how effectively to create and sustain an income, a retirement income. It's all about paying bills, right? We'll start by performing a complimentary Social Security analysis for any listeners to help maximize the amount that they receive from Social Security, which is very important. Typically, even if the best decisions have been made regarding Social Security, it doesn't cover the total amount of income.
No.
So we'll happy to show you, how to most effectively fill your retirement income gaps. We'll review the amount of risk you have in your portfolio and the sources of retirement income. We'll help you potentially reduce and minimize fees. Fees are important, and that eats into what the capital gain is, right? And taxes that will eat away, and it seems like most Americans were reactive to taxes instead of being proactive.
Sure.
So what we do is we show people, how to do it the right way. And I'll use the analogy again. And I did this with my neighbor. If I was a builder and I came to you and I said, I'm just going to wing it, we're just going to build you a kitchen and we'll just see how the chips fall. would you sign up with me? And he laughed. He said, absolutely not, you know? And so here's the difference is that you don't wing a retirement plan. You have to go into it knowing exactly what you're doing.
Again, if you would like to learn more, if you would like to see how to structure that plan, if you'd like to review and evaluate and assess your fees, the taxes, the expenses, the risk analysis, the Social Security planning report and analysis, pick up the phone, give TJ Stearns Inc., ChicagoLand's certified financial planning resource, a call, 800-640-2256. That's 800-640-2256, 800-640-2256. So Tim, if we were doing a financial spring cleaning here, what are some of the big items that you feel that savers and investors or people looking to make financial progress should be addressing?
Well, their biggest asset usually besides their house is what? Their 401k, right?
Sure.
So I would definitely take a look at that, analyze it. How much risk do you have in it? Have you rebalanced since all this craziness happened in the market? Yeah, you're back. And I use that word loosely. I mean, we went to cash before all this stuff happened. Thank God. We didn't have to climb up the stairs that most people have had to do. So those are the types of things, what risk do you have in there? Do you have a ticking time bomb? I don't know. Do you know? And most people don't.
Rebalancing is really important, Tim, isn't it? And with an account like a 401k, which, like you said, a lot of Americans' biggest retirement asset is all we're talking about here. Oftentimes, because it's out of sight, out of mind, and sort of done automatically, we really miss that opportunity and sometimes ignore that 401k maybe more than we should.
I agree 100%, and I don't need it till down the road. Well, why mess with that, down the road? Why not take care of it today? And I always tell people, if you can, if you're 59 and a half and you're still working for a company like my brothers have done, move your money out of there and get into something more robust, more strategic than a mutual fund that, went down, whatever the market went down, because they can't go to cash, unless you call it in. And, I ask people facetiously during these retirement classes that we have or on the phone nowadays. And I ask them, did you get an outbound call when the market went to heck? Oh, no, I never heard from anybody. Oh, that's my point.
Yeah.
We didn't have a lot of panicky people coming in or calling into us, thank God. And that's why I want to say that, with that, here's my education offer. We teach these classes right now. We're not able to. I'm hoping to get fired up back in the fall or coming in the fall. But I will say this: we're happy to do Zooms, or WebEx, where I can actually go over the class with them over the phone. And I notice a lot of people are coming back to the table because they are very scared at what just happened and they saw how quickly it evaporated.
Sure.
So what I want to say is anyone out there who has over $500,000 that would like to do our class, I'll offer it for free. They should give us a call and we'll set something up for them. It's a 2-part class. I've been told by everyone, even including my older brothers, which I'm just their younger brother, that it's a darn good class and they learned a lot. And I think that's huge.
Hard to get respect and recognition from those older siblings sometimes.
That's the truth. That's the truth.
But hey, this is your bailiwick. This is your field, Tim. And it's helped them understand what they needed to do after a career to transition away from that career and retire with confidence. And ladies and gentlemen, if you would like to go through those classes digitally, online, through the virtual option that Tim Stearns has made available, pick up the phone now. Give a call, 800-640-2256. That's 800-640-2256, 800-640-2256. Tim, you mentioned, not a lot of outbound calls there, not a lot of people received calls from their broker or advisor or providing financial guidance. Twofold here as we are discussing 401ks in particular. Does such a resource actually even exist with 401ks? Or would people even know who to call to get advice or recommendations on their 401k if they're not receiving that call?
Okay, so let's start with the HR person at your work. They're not going to help you. They can't. If they do, there's so much liability for them, so they might reach out to, the mutual fund company.
It's not their job to provide investment advice.
No, it's not. You're right.
Okay.
Right. And not only that, but they don't want the headache nor the responsibility of telling you the wrong thing. So then the next step is that you call the mutual fund company. What do you think they're going to tell you? Stay involved, stay in, maybe take a little bit less risk. Well, the horses are out of the barn, as they say.
Yep.
So why not, that it's too late. So what I'm saying is, for these people, give us a call. We'll take a look at their 401ks and see if we can help them. A lot of people think, oh, the target retirement dates, they're like a silver bullet. They're not. They went down just as much as anybody in the month of March. Yeah. So that's what we're trying to help people get ahead of, is figuring it out.
So Tim, you provide that resource to people. You are that resource if they don't know who to call. I mean, obviously you're not in touch with everybody who's got a 401k. You couldn't possibly do that. But if they have a 401k, if they've got a question, if they'd like to have a certified financial planner take a look at it, you're willing to do that for them?
Always. Yes. I always tell people, back in the day, they wouldn't help you just because they're being lazy. Well, now they won't, like a HR department, they won't help you now because they don't want the responsibility again, or the better yet, the liability. So we have excellent software. I can look at what their risk profile is. I can look at what Morningstar, what they say about how they've done versus the rank and file. These are things that need to be done, especially if you're approaching retirement. You can't sustain a 30% loss. And then what, are you going to work another 10 years? No one wants to sign up for that.
No, absolutely not. Well, again, Tim Stearns offering the opportunity. If you'd like to go through that Retire Me Right class, if you would like to have a one-on-one review strategy session, if you'd like a complete forensic financial analysis, if you've got just a few questions on your mind, maybe about your 401k, and would like to get the perspective of a certified financial planner, a qualified professional, pick up the phone, give a call, 800-640-2256. That's 800-640-2256, 800-640-2256. Tim, and another big aspect of those retirement accounts is the tax liability that we will have in retirement, which I don't think receives enough time and attention. I mean, during this whole crisis and the pandemic, the market volatility obviously got a lot of the press, got a lot of the attention. But in crisis, we can choose to panic or we can choose to plan. I think taxes may be the area that deserves more attention, because that's actually an area where there's some opportunity to take some control and strategize for the future. It may be the better long-term issue to focus on. Would you agree?
Absolutely. And, the big thing is that when people come in here, I'll say, well, how much do you want to live on per year? After we've done their finances, that type of thing, we look, and let's say it's $100,000. I'll say, is that gross or net? And what do you mean? Well, there's taxes, and unfortunately, a lot of qualified plans have never been hit by taxes. So, if you have $1 million, about 700,000 is going to, be yours, and the rest goes to Uncle Sam. So what I try to say to people is, make sure that you're not being reactionary, get ahead of it, and be, just proactive, and make sure that you understand what it's going to look like, your actual amount of money that you get to keep.
Yeah. Well, Tim, I mean, throughout this, I've heard varying figures here, but the CARES Act was $2.2 trillion. And then round two of the small business paycheck protection was at least another $450 billion. I've heard things as much as like 4 trillion or 6 trillion has been added. That money's got to come from somewhere. And basically it's either taxation or inflation into the future, correct?
Right. And I mean, it's going to be more than likely taxes, and there's no way the taxes stay as low as they've been. This thing sunsets in 2026. So I figure at some point, if stars align, if you will, they'll have a new tax plan. And then the next thing you know, you're paying higher taxes. It's not going to go down.
Well, again, being efficient with your taxes could potentially be as effective and far less risky than shooting for higher returns in the market for your long-term financial progress. And again, I think that the market volatility rightly received a lot of attention, but the true opportunity at this time might be that tax planning, being proactive with your taxes, and getting the perspective, getting the help and assistance of a certified financial planner in a forward-looking planning approach certainly could be beneficial for you, ladies and gentlemen. And that's exactly what Tim Stearns does there at TJ Stearns Inc. And he has provided that kind of guidance to Chicagoland area savers and investors, and he can provide it for you. It's just a phone call away to get that conversation started. 800-640-2256. That's 800-640-2256. 800-640-2256. Tim, during my time, I've tackled a few projects around the home. One of the things was I cleaned out several closets and the garage. I found a lot of stuff that I really hadn't messed with, hadn't seen for quite some time. So I did a lot of consolidating. I know a lot of people financially have sort of these scattered accounts, maybe multiple life insurance policies and multiple old 401ks, 5 different banks that they've put some money with to get the best CD rate. And then it sort of sat there. Is consolidation beneficial for our financial progress? We hear so much about diversification. Does consolidation work against that, or is it helpful in your opinion?
For me, it's helpful because you put everything in one spot. I know I've helped my mom do that, my siblings, just try to get everything honed down. It's unbelievable. A lot of millennials, we have a client who works for the Department of Labor. He was telling us that over $1 billion is sitting in different accounts in 401ks that no one's touched because these millennials have moved on to new jobs and just leave it out there.
Left them behind.
Yeah, left them behind, like out of sight, out of mind. Well, guess what? I mean, that's not the right way to do it. So those are, but I mean, getting back to your original question, yeah, I think consolidation is huge. Be more efficient. Why pay fees? I've seen people who are paying fees at XYZ and ABC companies. Why not consolidate it so there's one fee and make sure that you're in an actual a great account?
So let me ask this a different way. Does consolidating accounts prohibit diversification?
No, not at all. Because like if they're with us, I mean, we're brokers. We can do any product we want. We're not, what they call, captive, where I have to sell a XYZ company or anything. We'll give them the best product. Open your mind to better products out there. We don't do hardly any mutual funds except for if we have to through like a 403B, I'll do that. But beyond that, we build clients very efficient ETFs basically for them that we get in and out of the market like we did back in March. Thank God. Those are opportunities that are missed. And if you're in a mutual fund, 80 cents on a dollar has to stay in. That's a fact. That's the law. So unless you make the move, they're never going to call you and go, hey, you should get out, And a couple of people that were in our classes, I talked to them and oh yeah, my other broker moved me into something more conservative. Well, again, the horses were already out of the barn. What is the point? So that's the type of stuff we see. A lot of people coming back to us from my classes that now want to meet and versus, they were like, oh, we're good. The bull market's going to keep going. And I told you this before, what do bull markets die from? Euphoria. And that's where we were back then, where, it's just going to keep going up every day. No. And it didn't.
I mean, Tim, back in 2019, you were saying that 2020 was likely to be a volatile year.
Right. Yep.
And I think that, nobody saw the coronavirus and the pandemic, but just the natural course of the fact that we had seen 10 years of bull markets with uninterrupted, growth in the market. The fact that it was an election year, you sort of were anticipating that there would be some volatility. I don't think we saw this coming or the severity or how quick that it was going to be. But again, consolidating accounts, rebalancing, reviewing performance along the way could have helped people avoid a lot of the pain that this downturn caused. And even if they do it now, could help them to be in a better position moving forward.
Right. And that's why, we tell people, that even one of my friends who does his own stuff, I was telling him, make sure you have stop losses in so that when it precipitously drops again, which it can, right? Give and take here, make sure that you're getting out. That's what we did. Did we time the market perfectly? No one did. But I didn't ride the rails all the way down and then to come back up. That's preposterous to me.
Yeah. Well, again, if you need help, if you need assistance, if you'd like to have a qualified, certified financial planner, take a look at your situation, at your accounts, at your assets, at your plan and structure for retirement or your progress to or through retirement, pick up the phone, give TJ Stearns Inc. a call, 800-640-2256, 800-640-2256. Tim, another thing that you have suggested here in kind of spring cleaning, financially speaking, is to rethink some of the old rules of investing. And you talked about making sure that we're paying off debt as a very high priority, maybe higher than doing savings above and beyond the match in our 401k. Always want to get the match, but above and beyond that, maybe paying off debt as a very high priority, not thinking of our home as a retirement investment. It's the roof over our head. It's illiquid. Some of these rules that people have followed for a while, the traditional models haven't seemed to work, and maybe we need to rethink the status quo.
Right. And, everyone's in a big hurry to pay off their mortgage, before they retire and that type of thing. And I get that. But when money is so cheap right now, if you can lock in, I just saw today a 30-year mortgage at 3%. I mean, that's, I remember when my wife and I bought our first house, we were at 6% and we were happy about it. Mm-hmm. So those are the types of things that, why rush to pay that off, especially if you're going to be staying there.
Yeah.
The other thing I will tell you, Peter, you were saying about doing the match, absolutely do the match, but they are offering 401k Roths. I love those because, nowadays Medicare is doing means testing when they, ring up your bill. And if you've been a saver and you've been smart about it, you get penalized and you're going to pay more because any income coming into your house, it moves up your income level. They're going to charge you more. I'll give you an example. We had a guy come in here in December of 2019 and, he had been a saver. He had a pension, blah, blah, blah. His bill was $400 a month. The average American's paying about $100 a month, but, he got penalized for doing the right thing.
The government doesn't foot that bill for you if they can justify that you can cover it yourself. And if you've got savings, if you've got dollars that are taxable income to you in retirement, that's going to cause them to throw that flag up that says, hey, maybe this individual should cover that bill themselves. So Again, proactive planning, Tim, can help to address some of that.
Right. Absolutely. And that's why I'm saying, get ahead of it. Thank God we have a CPA on staff here that can help us plan ahead. We also have an estate attorney because there's going to be, I think the estate tax will come roaring back here at some point because right now it's basically over 5 million is when you get hit. Go ahead.
Did they not sort of de facto address some of that, Tim? I know that the estate tax pretty much has stayed at pretty high levels, like 11 million for a couple, but they did away with the stretch IRA. And so if the stretch IRA is now gone, that's a whole lot more taxable income relatively quickly on beneficiaries. And so isn't that kind of going around the other way and still having an estate tax if we're looking at a multiple $1 trillion wealth transfer of IRA assets over the next 10 to 15 years?
My call, though, is that they're going to move that down. So that they captured the upper middle class, the middle class, that type of thing, because they're missing out on dollars there. But yeah, to your point, I mean, a lot of people don't even know about the Secure Act. And I mean, when we're in class, I tell people, what happened? I can't do a stretch IRA anymore. Yeah. And, kind of sneaky. They set it through on December 30th, when everyone's with their families getting ready for New Year's Eve after just getting done with Christmas, they passed this thing that did a lot of changes. And we have a great article. If anyone wants to call in, we'll be happy to get it out to them. Just that tells you exactly, there's about 8 bullet points that tell you exactly what changed.
Well, that Secure Act has been the largest sweeping rules change, legislative change to your retirement dollars, at least in the past 15 to 20 years. You need to understand the ramifications, the implications of those rule changes. And for a lot of folks who did proactive planning, you now have to revisit those plans because this law, the Secure Act, may have changed how those dollars will behave and what plans you made for them. So pick up the phone, get that article, understand the top items within the Secure Act and how they may affect you, and then plan proactively and strategically to still accomplish your goals. You can still do it. You just may need to review and do things a little different way. And of course, the guidance of a certified financial planner can help you there. And Tim Stearns willing to loan that guidance to you. Pick up the phone, give a call. 800-640-2256. That's 800-640-2256. 800-640-2256. Tim, another couple things, and we sort of touched on one of these, the assumption that taxes will go down into the future. Maybe we need to revisit that, but also the fact that people are sort of only planning their income based on 70 to 80% of their pre-retirement income. Maybe we need to rethink that one and plan a little differently there.
Well, I'll say that to people, what do you think you need to live on? And they'll go through all their bills currently, before they're retired. And they're like, oh, it's $100,000. Well, what's going to change? You're still going to eat. You're going to, maybe your clothing allowance goes down, but then you're traveling more, So we have to really hone down. And that's why an income allocation plan really gets into the nitty gritty, make sure that we understand exactly where the dollars are going to go and how much we need.
Tim, income allocation plan. Can you talk to us about an income allocation plan, how that might be different than what we've been doing, and what the benefit will be if somebody comes in or does a virtual review with you and the income allocation is part of that process?
Right. So basically, most people are doing right now asset allocation, which, as we saw in March, failed them yet again. It's failed 6 times in the last 20 years. So it's the stocks and bonds, and they're all correlated together basically nowadays. So they lost their money. Income allocation, on the other hand, we draw out a plan that is showing where we're going to get our money from, because it's about paying bills. And we map it out so that, do you have a roadmap is what I always ask people. Have you identified goals and plotted a course to get to your destination? If we were taking a trip out west, like the Clark Griswold type trip, you still map it out, right? And these people are winging it on retirement. I don't get it. I really don't. And I've seen it time and time again. That's why we love teaching those classes, because we have 40 people at a crack that want to learn how to retire right. And it's called Retire Me Right. So, but like I said, I'm happy to do that class now virtually with people. And I've been doing them, and people love it. I mean, they are understanding it. Having me one-on-one isn't the worst thing either, because they can ask all kinds of questions, and there's no such thing as a dumb question, right? Well, we make sure that we answer all of them so that people understand exactly what's going on.
Well, you only get that one chance at an ideal retirement. And Tim
Amen.
Stearns, you've been talking about a blueprint, a roadmap, planning these things out so that we know what our route looks like. We know what we're doing. We know what we want to achieve and accomplish is so important. And ladies and gentlemen, if you don't have a plan, if you'd like to review and evaluate your plan, and again, even if you have had a plan, every so often, once a year, or especially now with the law changes and with what's occurred with the pandemic and the coronavirus, you probably need to have a review and a second opinion. Tim Stearns is a certified financial planner. He's got the qualified, trained eye to spot and identify holes in your plan that have been left unaddressed, red flags, or opportunities to plan, strategize more efficiently and effectively. Pick up the phone and give certified financial planner Tim Stearns a call. 800-640-2256. That's 800-640-2256. 800-640-2256. Tim, speaking of income allocation, you've made the book available on this program previously. Something you're willing to do again?
Absolutely. Yeah. The first 10 callers. Anyone with over $500,000 worth of assets, the first 10 callers, I will be happy to get them the book Income Allocation, written by my good friend David Gaylor. It really spells out how retirement should look. And I know that most people that have read it, I'd say 90% think they sleep better at night. They think better about their retirement. They know that they've got a game plan. And that's huge. I mean, that is a lot of peace of mind.
Well, I've read this book. I was able to digest and understand this book. And Tim, it has changed the way that I am saving and planning and investing my way toward retirement. I'm still, probably further out than a lot of the listeners to this program, but I have adjusted the strategies, the way that I am thinking about my mindset towards savings. And I think that for folks who are 5 to 10 years into retirement, right on the doorstep of making that transition into retirement, or even 5 to 10 years away from retirement or more, if you're serious about planning for your financial future, this really illustrates and explains a lot of the risks that you will face once you do retire and how to address those with the strategies that you're implementing now. Pick up the phone if you'd like a copy of that book, Income Allocation, or if you'd like to talk with Tim, meet with Tim one-on-one, virtually, go through those Retire Me Right classes, all of those available to listeners to the program today. Just give a call, 800-640-2256. That's 800-640-2256. And Tim, we always appreciate your time and loaning your guidance and perspective to savers and investors across ChicagoLand.
Peter, thanks again for having me. It's my pleasure.
Always a pleasure. Every time we get the opportunity to speak with Tim Stearns, he's looking forward to hearing from you and helping you soon. Give him a call, 800-640-2256. We'll talk to you next time here on Protect and Grow ChicagoLand Retirement.
Thanks, Peter.
Tune into ChicagoLand Certified Financial Planner Tim Stearns' full radio program on 890 WLS every Sunday at 11 a.m. and visit tjstearns.com for many valuable resources, including other great episodes of ChicagoLand Retirement. Be sure to subscribe.
Securities offered through TJ Stearns, a registered representative of Crown Capital Securities LP, member FINRA SIPC. The information presented on this program is provided for informational purposes only without warranty of accuracy, completeness, or suitability for particular purpose. This program is not intended to be and does not constitute financial, investment, legal, or tax advice. This information is general in nature, not specific enough to be construed as advice. You should not make any decision based on the information presented on this program without independent consultation with an appropriately licensed professional or competent advisor. Investment in securities or the market involves a potential risk for loss of principal. Trading, therefore, may not be suitable for all listeners. Annuity guarantees are based solely on the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the issuing company. Withdrawals of growth from annuities may be taxable as ordinary income in the year it is taken. Individuals should review contracts for specific details of the product's features and costs.